And we're back. You should be on page 120, but I have a new vocab word for us to talk about before we can work through that. So for now, just watch what happens. We are going to work with something called a composite unit. Say those words with me. Composite unit. And this is what a composite unit is. A composite unit is a smaller form of measurement. So we're going to use this stick, this measurement, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, these 5 blocks to measure this whole rectangle, right? This volume or that area inside. This entire space we're going to measure with these 5 blocks. So my question to you is, how many of this stick, we're going to call this a stick. You know how it'd be like the 10 stick? This is a 5 stick. This is our composite unit. How many of these units fit inside of this rectangle? Well, let's add one more. Right now, 1 fits in there. How many more fit in there? 2 fit in there. 3 fit in there. 4, 5 of those fit in there. 6 of these fit in there. 7 of these fit in there, and 8. Whew. Okay, so we know that there were 5 blocks, and we had 8 of them that fit. What is a number model that we could use to write how many squares there were? If there were 5 squares in this line, and there was 8 rows, we could multiply 5 times 8. And there's total of 40, right? There's a total of 40 little units in here, 40 little squares. 8 times 5, or 5 times 8, is 40 units total. So I could use what I knew from, or what I know from this first line, and then I saw how many times did it fit in there. Well, if there's 5 and it fits 8 times 5 times 8 is 40. Great. Now we are looking at page 120 in your journal pages, and this is what it looks like. Areas of rectangles, continued for 4-8. Okay, page 120. It says, use this shaded composite unit to find the area of each rectangle. All right, there's 2 squares. This is my unit. How many times does this unit fit in the whole rectangle? Well, it fits 4 times. Here's 1, then 2, 3, and 4. Not the most even, but that's what it is. So if I have 2 and it fits 4 times, 1, 2, 3, 4. What's 2 times 4? 4 doubled is 8, right? 2 rows of 1, 2, 3, 4. 2 rows of 4, 8 square units. Because again, we still have squares on the inside. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, this time it is going horizontally, like the horizon. But there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 squares on the top, 5 square units. And I know that because I counted it and it says 5. How many composite units fit in this entire triangle? 3. So 3 of these 5 squares fit in. That's like saying, just like this. Do you see how there's 3 rows of 5? This composite unit fits 3 times. And if there's 5 in each, niñoses and niñases, what's 3 times 5? 5, 10, 15. If I counted all of those squares, there would be 15 square units. How many squares are going down? What's my composite unit? 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. How many times does it fit in this rectangle? 7 times. If I were to draw this row, I could do it 6 more times to make 7 rows total. What is 6 times 7? If you need help, use the helper fact. Count by 5s, but really, I would add 1 more 7, right? 5 times 7 equals what? And then add 1 more 7 to make 6 times 7. Try that one on your own. Then number 4 says, shade a composite unit that you can use to find the area of this rectangle. You may need to partition a row or column. That means you may need to put something, you may need to split something in partition. You can either draw 6 squares down, or you could draw how many squares across, or you could draw 10 across. Then what's your answer? What is 6 rows of 10? Put your answer here. Explain what you did to find the area for problem 4. How did you figure out this area for problem 4? Answer those 2. Okay, moving on. You do have another page, and it looks like this. It says body measures. With a partner, work with a partner to find each measurement to the nearest ½ inch. It's talking about our height and our knee to foot and around the neck and waist to floor and forearm. That is your hand all the way to your elbow, or your hand to your elbow, your hand span, so just the size of your hand, and your arm span, so from your fingertips all the way to your shoulder. This is really tough to do with a ruler, okay? So if you have a tape measure or a measuring tape at home, you can try this. If you don't, this is optional. That means you don't have to. With your ruler, you could figure out your hand span, right? And I'm sorry, here's your example for your hand span. Hand span. That is a tough word to say. There's my drawing tool. Okay, so your hand span, it's actually from your pinky to your thumb. So spread out your hand. Boom. There's your arm span. And here's your forearm. So from your wrist to your elbow. This page is optional. That means if you don't want to do it, you don't have to. But if you have a measuring tape, you may go ahead and figure out these measurements to the nearest what? To the nearest ½ inch. Again, count with me by ½ inches. We start at 0, ½ inch. If we add another ½ inch, that's 1 inch. Add another ½ inch, that's 1.5 inches. The next ½ inch is 2 inches, then 2.5 inches, then 3 inches, then 3.5 inches, then 4 inches, then 4.5 inches, and so on and so on and so on. So you wouldn't have to do your partners, but you could just find out your measurements. All right, optional, so you can do that if you would like to. Do you have to? No. And lastly, you have your math boxes for 4-8. Okay, you guys, keep up the awesome work. Send all of these pictures to your teacher when you are finished.